edge of a forgotten, flooded forest, something enormous has remained silent for 18 years. Iron Heron WH-7 was built to plant native trees and restore damaged wetlands. Its 6 giant wheels and 4 stabilizers are slowly settling into the wet earth. Time has split its tires and covered its once powerful steel body with corrosion. Its cracked cabin still faces the forest, but every light has gone dark. Corrosion has locked the long mechanical neck in the position of its final day. The drilling arm remains buried in mud, exactly where its final task ended. The planting claw hangs empty, unable to lift another young tree. As the years passed, the forest quietly grew around the machine and reclaimed the abandoned land. When Mira Arden arrives, she sees more than a ruin. She sees a chance to help the forest heal. Before touching the machine, Mira begins by studying the land around it. A curved line of mature trees leads directly toward the silent iron heron. The earliest trees have strong roots and were planted at the correct depth. From above, the surviving trees reveal the path WH-7 once followed. Their careful spacing proves the machine once worked with patience and precision. Near the machine's final position, the healthy planting pattern suddenly changes. Mira discovers that the final trees were placed much deeper than the earlier ones. Beside the cabin, she finds a sealed maintenance case protected from the floods. The records show that daily planting numbers had become more important than survival. The forest reveals the first clue. Speed had slowly replaced care. The records and damaged trees revealed why WH-7 never moved again. 18 years earlier, the project demanded more trees in less time. After weeks of rain, the wetland soil became heavy with water, peat, and loose sediment. Wet sediment entered the planting depth governor and began to jam its mechanism. The indicator remained at its deepest setting, even when the soil conditions changed. 3 final saplings were placed too deep, putting their young roots at risk. The chief forester stopped the machine before more young trees could be harmed. That night, a natural flood destroyed the only service causeway leading to the machine. The project soon closed, and moving the giant machine would have crushed the recovering forest floor. Mira finally understands. WH-7 was abandoned because protecting the forest mattered more than saving the machine. Mira returned with 4 specialists, but they would not begin by touching the machine. Their first task was to discover which parts of the wetland had already healed naturally. Every healthy root and naturally growing tree was marked as protected. Mira refused to cut a living tree simply to create an easier working route. Simple manual tools revealed firm access points without draining or disturbing the wetland. The new plan placed the health of the forest before the convenience of the restoration. 3 lightweight platforms were prepared to bridge over fragile ground and living roots. The platforms created safe access without placing weight on the recovering forest floor. WH-7 would work only where the forest could no longer recover by itself. Mira's rule was simple: help the forest where necessary and leave the rest to nature. With the forest protected, Mira allowed the first careful work to begin. The team inspected every accessible surface before opening a single system. Sealed trays and a closed recovery cart protected the soil from 18-year-old fluids. Old oil, coolant, and hydraulic residue were removed through fully closed hoses. The samples revealed trapped water, corrosion, and hardened residue inside the dormant systems. Soft brushes and low-suction nozzles lifted debris without washing pollution into the wetland. Peelable gel captured oily contamination from small surface areas without disturbing the wetland. Manual measurements showed that the central frame was still strong enough to save. But all 6 tires, 4 stabilizers, and the long mechanical neck required major restoration. For the first time in 18 years, WH-7 was being cared for without harming the forest. With the fluid secured and the frame approved, Mira planned a one-at-a-time repair. 4 mechanical collars locked the stabilizers before any wheel was touched. Each damaged tire was measured so its original steel rim could be preserved. A segmented fixture separated the ruined rubber without lifting the giant wheel overhead. New bearings, seals, and measured lubricant restored the first hub without replacing its identity. The same careful process restored all 6 wheels while protecting the wet forest floor. Each stabilizer received a renewed seal cartridge and a repaired original footplate. A manual pressure test confirmed that all 4 legs could share the machine's weight evenly. Finally, the fractured cabin glass was replaced with one protective laminated windshield. W7 stood safely again, but its frozen neck and 2 planting arms still awaited restoration. The repaired wheels and stabilizers gave the team a safe base for their most difficult task. 2 support frames and 1 padded cradle safely carried the weight of the elevated cabin. Manual gauges confirmed that 4 main joints were locked by rust and hardened lubricant. Each joint was opened separately while the other 3 remained mechanically locked. A guided screw puller removed each seized pin without hammering, heat, or sparks. 4 worn pins and 8 damaged bushings explained why the neck could no longer fold. New pins and bronze bushings restored the original clearance inside all 4 hinges. Renewed hydraulic lines and mechanical locks protected every rebuilt joint. An external low-pressure test held the restored neck safely at a small, controlled angle. The heron could raise its head again while its 2 planting arms still waited in silence. With the neck secured, the team turned toward WH-7's 2 environmental tools. The auger arm was raised only far enough to place its tools safely above a padded cradle. The corroded auger head was removed without pulling its buried tip through the wet soil. 2 bent flights, a worn cutting tip, and a seized clutch explained why the auger had failed. A forming fixture repaired the flights, while a renewed tip and clutch restored safe protection. 4 renewed soft pads would allow the planting claw to protect every delicate root ball. Inside the depth governor, dried peat still trapped the original mechanical cam. 3 physical collars now set safe shallow, medium, or deep planting levels. A mechanical safeguard now required soil, root ball, and depth checks before planting could begin. Both arms were restored, but one control test would decide whether the heron was ready. Before fieldwork, every restored system had to prove it could work and stop safely. The preserved power unit received renewed filters, flexible lines, coolant, and starter batteries. At low idle, the power unit returned without moving a single wheel or tool. 3 artificial beds recreated shallow, deep, and resistant soil without disturbing living roots. The rebuilt auger formed one clean test hole while its clutch limited the applied force. When the auger reached a hidden barrier, the clutch stopped it before damage could occur. 4 soft pads allowed the planting claw to hold a root ball without crushing it. 3 physical collars placed 3 test root balls at their correct planting levels. When soil, root type, and depth did not match, the mechanical lever remained locked. WH-7 passed because it had learned the most important task, knowing when not to work. Mira approved only 1 damaged patch, leaving the healthy forest completely untouched. 3 native saplings were matched with 3 soil depths and 3 protective collars. The verification system accepted the safe combination and released the planting circuit. At low idle, WH-7 remained fixed on 6 chalked wheels and 4 stabilizers. The auger formed 1 careful hole where natural forest recovery had failed. The planting claw carried the first root ball without crushing or exposing its roots. Manual checks confirmed that the root collar remained safely at the natural soil level. When the map pointed toward healthy growth, the machine correctly refused to work. By sunset, 3 native saplings stood safely where the forest needed help most. The Iron Heron was restored not to control the forest, but to help nature choose where to begin again.